find anybody shot like this? Okay? All right.
Well, thank you for being here. I want to thank the commissioner, particularly for his presence, as well as his team, and State Trooper Gomez, who will be talking after him, and then Fran Mako of Flagman. We're here on hallowed ground, a place where every year we come to honor state troopers, law enforcement who have served and sacrificed their lives, and to tribute them for their service to our state. But we're here today not only to honor them, but also to call for action. To call for action against the kinds of tragedies that are preventable. The kind of tragedy that took Trooper First Class Aaron Pelliter's life on May 30th. And just days later in West Hartford, a construction worker, Jose Diaz-Nieves, who died while working there. And then just this morning, a potential tragedy again on our roads. Drivers need to learn this lesson. Slow down, move over. It's the law. It has been the law for decades. It is the law in every state in America. But it's a law that all too often is disregarded, with the consequences being tragic for law enforcement, for emergency personnel, police and fire, and for tow truck operators, as well as Good Samaritans. One of them was Corey Iodice, whose name we have honored in the past. His family, Cindy and Chris, have formed Flagman, dedicated to spreading the word and raising awareness. Just this past November, the United States Senate passed a resolution urging slow down and move over awareness throughout the United States. I led that resolution with a colleague, Senator Braun, Republican of Indiana, bipartisan, approved unanimously in the United States Senate. We must raise awareness. Slow down, move over is the law, but it ought to be the practice. And I come to this press conference today, frankly, saddened that we have seen another tragedy as a result of potentially distracted driving, failure to slow down and move over. But I'm also angry. I am angry that anybody who works or tries to help others on the road takes their life in their hands, because drivers are refusing to slow down and move over when they see a fire or police vehicle helping another motorist, or somebody working on the road doing construction to make the roads better, or simply a Good Samaritan trying to help somebody change a tire. Take their lives in their hand because people will not slow down and move over. To give them a berth, to assure their safety, to give them the reassurance that they need that helping others on the road is not hazardous to your health and safety. This kind of tragedy is preventable. It is fully and completely preventable if people will simply follow the law, but also just obey common sense. Slow down and move over. if need be, maybe we should be increasing the penalties. But I have no illusions. I'm very clear-eyed that people fail to slow down and move over because of distracted driving, because they're in a hurry, because they are thoughtless, absolutely reckless and thoughtless. So I am grateful for the leadership that we see in our state police, as well as our local law enforcement, to try to raise awareness about this issue and make sure that the law of the land is also the way people conduct themselves on our roads. We're going into July 4th. More people will be on the roads. More people will have breakdowns or flat tires. More people will be in need of help on the roads. There'll be construction. Now is the time, July 4th, to follow the law and common sense. And if you care about America, slow down and move over. And thank you to the Commissioner for being here today.
Good morning. First and foremost, I want to thank Senator Blumenthal and all of our partners on a federal level for all of the support that they have given us, not just here in Connecticut, but across the country. But I too, like the senator, am angered that yet again we stand here just miles away from another accident, another active accident, vehicle versus pedestrian on our Connecticut highway. The Connecticut State Police has been and continues to be committed to enforcing the laws on our highways. But folks, I'm here to say today that we need your help. And I want to create a unity of effort. I want to create a unity of effort not just with the police and our lawmakers on a federal, state, and local level, and our local police and our policing leaders, but with our treatment providers and our medical providers. Where we are right now, we have never seen before. It's going to take that unity of effort. It's going to take all of us coming together to work through these problems. I am for increasing penalties. I am for whatever it takes for us to make our highways safe. If it feels like I'm bringing a sense of moral outrage this morning, I am. I, like those police officers, those troopers, those folks that come to work on the highways every morning, those who are just traveling our highways and byways each and every day, are outraged with what we are seeing. We're outraged with the speeding. We are outraged with people being digitally distracted, so digitally distracted that they can't determine what's going on and react. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. And Senator Blumenthal, I just want to say thank you. I want to thank the governor's office, and I want to thank our state, all of our state and local partners. But it's time for us to come together, think differently, and be bold. Thank you.
Well, I was going to start off by saying good morning, but reality is it's just really not a good morning. I'm Major Chad Gomez of the Connecticut State Police Field Operations. I stand before you today on behalf of Colonel Loftman to emphasize the importance of the Move Over Law and to honor the sacrifices of all our law enforcement officers. Thank you all for being here today to help us share our message. The Move Over Law in Connecticut is not just a legal obligation, but a critical safety measure that saves lives on our roadways. By requiring drivers to move over and slow down for emergency vehicles, tow trucks, and disabled motorists, we are ensuring the safety of those who work tirelessly to keep us safe on our roads clear. This law isn't just about compliance, it's about compassion and responsibility. We have been reminded too recently of what can happen by failing to abide by this law. The law enforcement memorial behind me is an eternal symbol dedicated to the memory of every law enforcement officer in Connecticut who made the ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. Our brother, Trooper First Class Aaron Pelletier, will join the ranks of those upon these walls. As we honor his sacrifice, let us also reflect upon what it means to law enforcement and the community as a whole. A sobering reminder of the hazards that law enforcement face every day. A trooper's cruiser is their desk, and the highways are their office. Whatever workspace you have in your professions, try to envision vehicles traveling within mere feet of you while performing your day-to-day task. Be it troopers, police officers, firefighters, EMS personnel, DOT workers, or tow truck operators, every single one of us working on our roadways of our great state is risking our lives for the common goal of keeping everybody safe. Every driver's commitment to observing the move over law directly contributes to roadway safety. It's not just about preventing accidents and protecting lives. It's about all of us as a community working together to make the roads safer. So for any vehicle stopped on the shoulder, emergency or not, please slow down. If you can, please move over. Stay aware of your surroundings, drive cautiously, and most importantly, put the phone away, never drive impaired. Let's all play our part in a collective effort. Thank you. Fran Mako from Flagman.
Good morning. My name is Fran Mako. I was formerly with AAA. I'm no longer with AAA. I'm now with Flagman. In early June, the Connecticut Post asked this very important question in its editorial page. They asked, who can make Connecticut's roads safer? This was published right after Trooper Pelletier's death. Of course, the answer is obvious. It's you, the driving public, who can make the roads safer. I'm here today to tell you about a nonprofit traffic safety campaign called Flagman, whose mission is to educate the public about the dangers that our emergency responders face while working roadside. Today I stand in for Cindy Iodice of Honolulu, who couldn't be here. She is the founder of Flagman. It's a campaign born out of the death of her brother Corey Iodice in 2020 when he was killed on the Parkway helping a disabled motorist. Cindy's vision is to bring Flagman to every state in the Union and to raise awareness about move-over laws. Last year, Flagman launched a K-12 pilot program in the Fairfield Public School System where we reached over 5,000 students in engaging, interactive, and educational presentations that focused on the dangers that emergency responders face. Flagman campaign feels that education is key, and by starting the process with kids in as young as kindergarten, we feel that they will have a clear understanding of move over laws by the time they start driving. We hope to finish our work in Fairfield this October and expand to any other Connecticut school districts that will have us. Cindy's plans are ambitious, but Flagman struggles, as all nonprofits do. We struggle with financing. We struggle with recognition. And I tell Cindy that it took MAD over 40 years to become synonymous with impaired driving. It's going to take just as long for Flagman to become synonymous with slow down, move over. We know we can't gain this recognition without help. Senator Blumenthal has been front and center in his work to recognize Flagman in the congressional record and with his resolutions. But it's you, my friends in the media, we need your help. Law enforcement needs your help to identify slow down, move over crashes whenever they occur, like the one this past Wednesday in Greenwich. A tractor trailer hit a fire truck and sent 4 firefighters to the hospital. Nowhere in the media was there mentioned that this is a slow down, move over crash. It was on I-91. These folks were working. Unfortunately, it seems a fatality must occur before people actually slow down and move over nowadays. After such an incident, you'll see people complying with the law, but it only goes on for a short time, and we return to our bad habits of speeding and impaired driving and distracted driving in a few weeks. So I ask your help to hammer home the Flagman message. Visit flagmansafety.com to get a flavor for what I'm talking about and understand what our campaign is all about and how important it is to raise awareness for this very important issue. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Brad. Any questions?
Major and Commissioner, Major, I realize that it's your job to enforce the law and possibly the Commissioner advocating over in the General Assembly, but could I ask you, I mean, I drove up here from the Sikorsky Bridge and at 60 miles an hour and like 50 or 60 cars passed me, many obviously much faster. Can I ask you what you think? I mean, you only have so many people to enforce the law. What do you think?
Well, what I think is we're not going to enforce our way out of this problem. We need the cooperation from the citizens to abide by the law. We have the resources out there, and if you do something like that in front of us, you will put yourself at risk from being stopped. But we need people to abide by the law and be the citizens that we want in this state.
Commissioner, so bigger fines? Are you going to ask the legislature for higher fines?
I am going to have a robust conversation with our partners in the Connecticut legislature, and I'm going to come to the table with them, as I've done thus far, saying we need to do something differently. The tragedies that we're seeing on our Connecticut highways must trump our traditional approach. We have to think differently. We have to approach this differently. We are willing partners in that endeavor.
Pedestrian accident that you referenced in the pedestrian accident that you referenced in Wallingford, we're hearing that may have been a Connecticut DOT worker and that CPR is being performed on that person. Any information on that?
That is an active investigation right now. I'm not going to comment on that right now.
Can you speak to the penalties now for violating the move over law, and then the penalties you think would be harsh enough where people would start to pay more attention?
Well, obviously, right now it's an infraction, which would be cited, on scene for not doing that. What could that possibilities be? I mean, that's up to our legislators to decide that. But clearly, like I said before, I don't think it's about the enforcement. I think it's about people just abiding by the law and being responsible for their, other people's lives and their actions.
If I may add to what he says, I agree. It's something that you can't enforce your way out of. It's a societal issue. I don't know if cultural issue is the right word, but it's definitely a societal issue. We have to educate the public. I mean, we know all this. We know we're supposed to slow down, but we don't do it. So, again, that's one reason why Cindy came up with Flagman, to start educating kids on the kindergarten level. But again, it's very hard to change behavior. I mean, especially bad behavior. You know how hard it is when you develop a bad habit, how to break that bad habit. It just takes a lot of time and a lot of patience. You're not going to see change tomorrow. You're going to see change down the road. I mean, the slow down, move over law was passed in 2009. It took until this time for people to start understanding. I mean, the DOT flashes over on their overhead boards, usually when there's a fatality, unfortunately, to remind people to slow down and move over. And I'm watching, and everybody is slowing down, and they are moving over, and it's all anecdotal. But I know in 2 months, we're all going to go back to our bad habits.
Is part of the problem that we have legal marijuana now in Connecticut? We have people driving high on Connecticut highways, and we don't have a test to determine if they are driving high?
Well, let me just say, following up on what's been said, there are more means of distracted driving now than ever before, whether it's cell phones or marijuana or any of the other devices that people look at while they're driving, or things that can distract them. But none of them is an excuse for distracted driving. They're all within the control of the driver. So just to throw a little bit of a different perspective on this issue of education, as a former prosecutor, I strongly believe that heightened penalties and stronger punishment play a part in education. Deterrence works. Stronger penalties enforced more rigorously by the courts can play a part in education. One strong prison sentence sends a message across the state, even across the country. And that's why I'm going to be pressing in the United States Congress for another resolution that urges states and perhaps provides financial incentives for the states to have stronger penalties against violations of slow down and move over. Violations of slow down, move over ought to be more than an infraction.
But to my question, I'm interested specifically in hearing from the state police and what you're seeing on the roads. Since marijuana has become legal in the state, are you seeing more people under the influence driving high, and yet you don't have a test to determine that?
I can't speak for the statistics, but we do have tests to determine that. We have drug recognition experts who are certified throughout the state who could perform a roadside test and to determine if somebody is under the influence of something different than alcohol. So
what's the threshold for knowing if they're, not able to operate?
I couldn't speak on I'm not a drug recognition expert, but they're highly trained. There's over, I think, almost 50 of them throughout the state, and they could determine if you should not be operating based on the how you perform on that test.
If I could, you heard me earlier speak to the necessity to bring medical providers and treatment providers to the table as well. We still are living with the opioid epidemic. Okay, that still exists today. I am often asked the exact same question that you are asked about, whether it's the marijuana, are they driving while they're high? We don't know exactly if that's the case. But what we do know is that people who are using these opioids are operating motor vehicles, okay? And so we have to really think critically about the cascading effect between the use of opioids and people who are operating motor vehicles on our highways. We need to start to think critically about that.
Anyone else? Thanks, everyone.
Senator, can we have you just come back to the mic just for a few off topics, if that'd be all right?
Yeah, if it's political, I don't know whether you really want this background.
Wants to turn this way?
Yeah, if you could turn another way so that we don't have the police memorial in the background.
Yeah, let's